All right. Well, welcome to a very special episode of Live with Meta Mona. I am your host, Mona, along with this familiar face. My colleague and co host, Andrew Wall, is joining me today. And together, we're excited to bring you guys the first digital collectible CEO roundtable. That's going to be quite a conversation, to say the least. Andrew Wall, I am so glad you're joining me on this endeavor. How are you feeling about this?
I'm feeling fantastic. I'm glad to be here. Not Corrupt Media is sponsoring this episode, and you guys might have heard of us before. We've produced eye-poppin' media for Illuvium, Gods Unchained, and we're just happy to support deep conversations like this to build the Web3 space. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. And the goal is to do more of these. So if you guys want to see more of these types of roundtables, make sure you hit that subscribe button right at the bottom of your screen and share this stream right now with your X and YouTube communities, because trust me, this is going to be an exciting conversation they're not going to want to miss. I also want to introduce you guys to our chat moderators, Miss Gex and Poof. They're right there in the comments with you, ready to answer your questions and help us pick the best community questions and relevant community questions, by the way, toward the end of the show that we're going to present to our guests. And speaking of our guests, we're honored to welcome two right now, but hopefully three visionary CEOs from the leading digital collectible brands in Web3 today. So allow me to bring them in. You are already familiar with them. Well, most of you are. You know who they are, but let me welcome David Yu, the CEO of Veve Digital Collectibles. Welcome back, David. You are a returning guest. So happy to have you.
Thanks, Mona. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Will is also a returning guest. Will Weinrob, the CEO of On-Chain Studios and Cryptoys. Will, welcome back. Thank you for
Thank you, Mona. Yeah, thank you for having me. Really excited for this chat.
Of course. And Luca, the CEO of Pudgy Penguins, is also hopefully joining us. He's on his way to ETH Denver. So let's make sure, keeping fingers crossed, that he can join us. But we're going to start the conversation, and hopefully he'll join us a little bit later. Thank you all so much. I know you are all CEOs on a busy schedule, so we're just really grateful that we could have your time and attention tonight to do this conversation. Andrew, I do want to give you just a few minutes. I mean, you already did it, but tell people real quick to how what you're doing right now. We're hoping to do more of these conversations. Do a little intro again for our new viewers, so they get familiar with you as well.
Sure. I guess, yeah, not everybody knows me in the Web3 space. So my name's Andrew Wall. I'm the CEO of Not Corrupt Media, and I've been marketing video games for the past 15 years and technology for the past 15 years. And we're actually helping Web3 projects market themselves. So you guys might know me as the host and executive producer over at Illuvium. We also just create, I think, the most premium marketing in the space and media in the space to help Web3 projects grow and make their maybe complex technologies easier for people to understand. And that's what we do for a living. And I freaking love it. So I'm glad to support this episode, and I'm glad to support you with this show.
Thank you so much, and many, many more to come. But you guys might be wondering why these founders and why this roundtable today. We chose these two founders hopefully 3, because they're among the top leaders in digital collecting. And because we love what they've made, we love what they've created. They have the same mission. They're here to build the next iteration of collecting in the digital world. That's a huge endeavor. And the truth is, despite all the challenges, all the crypto cycles, and all the obstacles, they've persevered. They're still here. They're making progress, and we're happy to have them. And what's interesting about these founders is that they have the same mission, but they're operating under 2 distinct business models. For those of you who are not familiar, Veve Collectibles, they have become the go-to app for premium digital collectibles. And they're specializing in licensed IPs from global franchises like Disney. We'll introduce Pudgy Penguins later. I'm gonna introduce Pudgy Penguins just in case Luca joins us, so you guys know. Pudgy Penguins started as a simple PFP NFT project, but they have evolved into a mix of digital and physical offerings. They're now integrating NFTs into tangible products, and today there's a physical Pudgy on every Walmart shelf as its own formidable IP. And last but not least, Cryptoys. They've combined traditional toy collecting with NFT and blockchain technologies, and they are creating interactive experiences. So think of Cryptoys as a digital toy company, if you will. So as you can see, one mission, 2 or 3 distinct approaches. And we're here today to ask the tough questions about these approaches. And we want to find out what's working, what's not working. And we want to help you guys, those who are listening or entrepreneurs who want to get into this Web3 space, in how to do it and what approach is going to work best. So I'm going to address, we have 2 topics. I'm going to address the first topic, and then Andrew is going to address the second topic. And then we're going to take your questions at the end of the show. We are giving each topic 20 minutes. And guess what, guys? I have a timer this time. So let me set 20 minutes here for us. I get 20 minutes. Andrew gets 20 minutes. Let's see if we can nail this. All right. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. First topic, if you don't already know, choosing the best business structure for Web3 IPs. And this was interesting because for me to do this, I had to study your business models. And I hope you know that for the past 3 days, I've been studying your business models. So if you need to hire me, I am available here. But
Oh,
I nailed it, okay? But I have to admit to something. I want to share something with you. As I was researching and learning about each of your business models, just yesterday, I learned about this tragic Bitforex exchange incident that has shut down unexpectedly with what I learned, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, approximately 7% of the OMI supply. And the only
Yeah.
reason I'm bringing this up, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because it's an elephant in the room. And I want to get the elephant out of the room and we get on with our conversation. And I think, when Andrew and I talked about it, it is our responsibility to all of you and to the community to address this. And because we've I feel bad for OMI holders, especially because they've been on this exchange for 5 years and now this happens. So, David, I want to give you the opportunity just to address your community in your own words and what this means for them, and then we can get on with our first topic,
Yeah.
if you will.
Thank you. So when I first learned about the Bitforex issue, obviously I was I couldn't believe it. And few of the major side, as you have mentioned, a lot of our key supporters in OMI, Ecomi behind it, have assets on it. We constantly try to address these issues to get users to keep it on their own cold storage wallet or devices. We have attempted to reach out to the exchange for please explain. We have sent them mails. Um, we have very limited responses because some of them are ex-employees or ex-employee or CEO of the firm. Um, I think once we get clear communication from the exchange, we'll find an appropriate forum to address these to our users. But you know, at this moment, one of the great thing about our communities is that they all come together. And please be vigilant in everything. Just very unfortunate this has happened again over and over with many of these exchanges going down. So please stay tuned. When we have more update, we'll address them to the audience.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I don't know, Will, if you have anything to add to that. I know this is something that, we keep reliving. So as, another CEO, if you have any feedback on that.
Well, no, I think David summarized it quite effectively there. Dealing in Web3, these are new, uncharted waters that we're exploring together, and it's difficult to kind of traverse all these things in the correct way 100% of the time. I have deep empathy for the situation. I'm a trader. Also, by the way, a lot of folks know I'm a Veve collector. I love using the app. I collect Veve digital collectibles, and I think very highly of David, the team, and the product. So I have major empathy for the community. It feels like we're all one community, and when something like this happens, it's not a Veve issue; it's a community-wide issue. It's a Web3 wide issue. So we'll learn and get better. Getting to know David over the past few months, I could just say he's an incredibly high integrity guy. He cares deeply about his community, and we're all just trying to do the best every single day to push forward and build together. So I think David summarized it perfectly.
Thank you for that. And my job as a Web3 journalist is always to humanize the beat or the topic. And uh, this actually really works out well because we're dealing with a real scenario here. And ironically, the topic is choosing the best business structure in this space. So I chose this topic a while back, by the way. So there's no coincidence here. So I wanted to make this topic relatable for our viewers, and present it in this way. And maybe David, let's start it with you. Let's say your brother, my friend, they're listening and they're inspiring entrepreneurs who have, this actually is a real scenario. I've had people come to me who have very successful memorabilia businesses in IRL, and they have souvenir businesses, and they want to digitize their business, right? And they ask me, how do I get in? How do I add this digital layer to my IRL business? So let's say they come to you looking for an optimal model. And let's present two models here. Let's say model one is a traditional company approach, right? So in this model, you are a company that sells shares as equity, NFTs as products, and it's governed by a board of directors and a governance that's, let's say, familiar with traditional investors. Then we have another model, which let's call it the token-based approach model, where you're selling tokens potentially as a form of equity and NFTs as products. So the governance could be around a specific group or council, but without adopting that DAO structure, right? And so taking into consideration those practical business operations and the fact that our friend who's coming to you or I'm sending to you has to raise funds and has to generate cash flow, let me hear your feedback on what model do you think is a sustainable model at this juncture where we are for a Web3 environment, and why?
Well, to start with, the beauty about the Web3 industry is has a very low barrier, which you talked about, where if you have an existing business, how do you tap on that additional revenue if you wanted to? But based on the assumption that there will be a mixed type of hybrid token and the digitalize NFT or collectibles, firstly, you need to separate them out. Um, Number one is the jurisdiction, how you're being treated as a digital currency token, possibly could be a security product in certain jurisdictions. So finding the jurisdiction regulation is your number one most important part if you were going to issue a token as a equity raising. Um, then advancing from that in the collectible or minting a licensed product that you have rights for is slightly very different. Obviously, based in the US, how we test if the product has that utility apart from speculating or you buying it to grow as an investment, you you fall under as a digital collectible. And how you market this product and how you hype it up, we have seen in the past month, the SEC have talked about how you market and wording around that offering that you releasing. So it is very important for anyone who's getting into this business to find the perfect structure. Um, very often that startups or founders or project wants to get going, they don't think about it. They just think, I got this great idea, and let's go with it. But the truth is, you're going to have pies and rubbish thrown in your face every day. I mean, my job almost is putting out fire every single day, having things thrown to myself. After a while, you get used to it. And now our part is solving some of the mistakes that we have made over the years in the past. I mean, if Veve was to be an economy is to be had the opportunity to be restructure or restart again from 2017, I certainly would be doing it very, very much different.
How
You need
so?
to have
Will you
um,
tell me how
um,
so?
number one is the industry hasn't got very clear from the very start, and obviously throughout the time governments regulations come in, scrutinize the industry. In a way, the NFT can often be treated same as a token like cryptocurrencies. Sometimes they are not well educated, so they put that whole category of Web3 into one bucket and treat everything with a blanket rules over, which is, unfortunate. It's very different. They are very different. Number two is um, fundraising. Obviously, when it comes to fundraising, is finding the right advisors and right your board that will take this business to the next level. This is a new nascent industry. There is a lot of unfortunate. You meet a lot of people who overpromise you in your business, who advises you around things that's incorrect because it's a multiple moving part. So finding the right partner is very important. Otherwise, you become in a partnership with a ship that never sail. You constantly going around the circles and
If you were
understanding. Hmm.
Sorry, so just on that, if you were to go back and do this all over again, and because I really want to know this, and I want for people who want to come in this space and follow your lead or Will's lead, would you tell them that tokens are actually needed for Web3 IPs, or can you just sell NFTs? If tokens are needed, why are they needed? Because we have projects that are not using tokens, and they're doing it and they're selling NFTs. So if you were to do
Hmm.
this again, would you incorporate tokens?
I mean, where we are, we probably will think a bit deeper how the whole ecosystem will connected as one. Um, what we probably won't be racing through token side of things, and obviously part of that token creates a community as well. We basically have to live through what we have right now and adjust to it, and the main reason is because the regulation and the frustration when you do that, and depending on the jurisdiction you in, how they treat that token, it's pretty much on its business on its own. So if you were going to be raising money through token offering or crowdsourcing versus just minting collectibles and having a fun and experiment and test that market. If that's what you want to get into, you could do it separately. And my advice is to seek very good independent consultation with lawyers, accounting firms, to ensure that you are going down the right track and this is the best fit business model for you.
Yeah, so let me just have you pause there, because Will, you are doing that business model, right? You're doing it without tokens here. Which one of these models would you lean toward for somebody new who's coming into this space, and why?
I think, there's not a one size fits all can I answer here. I think there's 100 different ways to build a business, and here in Web3 there's a lot of different interesting angles that you can come at it with. We did not launch with a fungible token. There was a variety of reasons we chose to go that route. Not to say that there's another route that's not viable. I think there are a lot of viable paths, but for us, we really set out to build a platform that was really mindful of certain compliances right from the get-go. As a company that's aspiring to be a digital toy company, and that's really how we see ourselves, a digital toy company first. We don't see ourselves as an NFT company or a Web3 company. We use Web3 technologies, we use NFT technologies and blockchain, and we're very bullish on all these techs. But predominantly, we're a digital toy company. And we want to provide great experiences that you can have with your digital toys. So for us, we went out with a certain approach that, hey, we really want to make this an all ages platform. In order to do that, we need to kind of comply to certain regulations and compliances. So there were things that we took from an approach perspective that's a little bit different compared to some of the other platforms out there. We didn't launch specifically with a marketplace. There's a lot of reasons for why we did that. That marketplace is coming very soon, but you'll see in the way that we've built the marketplace features that it provides a nice on-ramp, not just for people over the age of 18, but for people under the age of 18 as well. And we just have to take a methodical approach to that. So launching with a fungible token right out of the gate wouldn't have been necessarily the right approach for us. Not to say that it's not a good approach. It wasn't the right approach for us. So we focused on NFTs, digital collectibles, and then immediately went into how can we make this compliant for all ages, so that it doesn't matter if you're 45 years old or you're 8 years old, you can enjoy the Cryptoys experience in different ways. So that was just our own choice in that matter.
Andrew, I know you probably, before I ask my next question, you probably have a question here too. I want to give you the time. We have about 5 minutes here. I want to give you an opportunity to ask about these two models as well.
Got it. That makes sense. So you mentioned earlier, David, go find people you can trust, right? That will provide you with good advice. So for those out there that may be younger, or they're an entrepreneur, or they're trying to do that startup and they're trying to find the right advisor or the right person to trust, how do you know who the right person to trust is? Like, what are, when it comes to this space? Because I understand on the regulatory side, I've talked to founders that have spent literally millions trying to get clarity. They can't get clarity depending on the jurisdiction. It's been really frustrating for them. So how do you go select that maybe more senior person, that more experienced person, that person you can trust to advise you if you're looking to enter this space? What advice would you give there to know that that person is trustworthy and their advice is advice that you should take?
Yeah, so number one, the industry has moved quite more clearly since 2017 when we first started. There's a lot of project out there, a lot of founders that you can ask and seek advices on. And I think most of these, you can go on the internet and learn a lot, some of the failures, some of the success. The right way to do it is to, understand. Number one is understand your product, what you're trying to achieve. Like we'll have say, Veve just wanted to be the trusted brand when it comes to premium digital collectibles. That's our focus. We want the app to be mass market accessible. There's many elements in your business when you, as a startup, you need to go back and think about the mechanic and what segment you want to carve out and what you're good at doing. So Veve is not just about, and Ecomi is not just about the token and the digital collectible. There's many elements in there. There's the technology, there's the AR, there's the infrastructure, there's the licensing, there's the brand. The whole business interconnect each other. They're like a moving wheels. So from down to advice in regards to tokenizations, mechanic, you do want to go seek out. There's many VC firms out there who has experience in investing in token side. They can give you some proper ideas of how you should structure these. But going down to technology wise, the AR, the aspect of that, the technology in AR is much more mature. Now we're moving into wearable device integration. Once again, you will want advice and tech expert in that. Part of what Veve produces, we produce premium 3D collectible. So therefore, the graphic, behind it, the rendering, the design, you will need product manager who can eye over it, because our users can see they want evolution of your product to get better and better. So there are many parts in that, and really, as a business structure, you want to attract that talent as well, because it's very hard when you're a startup that you try to convince not just your partner or co-founder to join you on board, but the initial setup of the people that will want to work for you. I mean, some of these people are working for multinational company who can give you a stable commitment, and try to lure them into the business as a startup and start over again can be very difficult. So you need experts in every single field. And I quite often refer how we grow our business here at Veve, the 1 7 17 70 300 rule. The initial startup as a founder and co-founder as the first employee in the company, moving into the 7th employee, the 17, the 70, and the 300 beyond. People who take your business from 0 to 1 million revenue as a small business, and 1 million to 500 million as a medium-sized business, and beyond to a multi-billion, they are going to be very different type of skills and talents involved. So finding the right profession in every segment, in every vertical in your business is very, very crucial. We're not just talking about tokenization regulations and what jurisdiction. We're talking about taxations. We're talking about HR, contractors, employment laws, and privacy data, and so on. There's many moving parts rather than just one specific section in our business.
David, so why make it even more complicated with tokens? I just want to get to the bottom of this with you and Will. Can this be done without tokens? Why make it? I mean, you said it yourself, there's so much complication here. And I feel like tokens are making it not just more complicated, but it's not palatable for the mainstream entrepreneur to want to even dabble into something like that. I mean, if we have one more exchange go down and we have another FTX happening, we cannot bear a credibility like that in this space. So my question to you both is, can what you're doing be done without tokens? Oh, I think you're.
I could jump in, sure. I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
it depends on, if you're talking about NFTs or fungible tokens, right? Again, it's a little bit of a different approach. We don't have a fungible token. We focus just on NFTs. So to show just a different side of it, again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Our approach is, we didn't need a fungible token to start, focused primarily on NFTs. We believe NFT and blockchain technology is critical as far as entering a digital collectible space and proving digital scarcity, to provide digital ownership, to provide provenance. I think that technology is critical. And it's kind of where this whole industry is heading. So for us, we kind of boiled it down to what are the essential components of blockchain that we need to integrate into the product. And we focused around that. For us, it was just focusing around the toys, and the NFT component of it, and then exploring if it makes sense to do a fungible token down the line and what regulations are necessary on how to do it. David, very astutely said, there's different regulations depending on where the company's headquartered and located. There's a lot of moving parts here, and those laws are changing on a month-to-month basis. It's hard to keep up with all this stuff. So yeah,
Yep.
to us, there's not a right or wrong approach. There's just a bunch of different ways to, as you would say in your tweet, Mona, bake a cake. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody's baking. The mission is to bake a cake, but the recipes are different. But Will, do tell us a little bit. I mean, I know the same person who asked me about their memorabilia business and they
yeah.
want to add that digital layer. They're listening right now. When it comes to that cash flow and raising money, enlighten them about how it's possible if you don't have a token based
Ah,
model.
Sure. So for us, just to give one example, we raised venture capital. We went to venture capitalists in the Web3 and tech and gaming space and shared with them what we're doing, and we raised capital from those firms and those investors. So just like a lot of folks that do a fungible token, whether they raise through an offering or a certain sale, that's one way to do it. For us, we took a one of a more, you would say, traditional approach to starting a tech company, which would be to go to private investors and venture capitalists. That's how we got the initial seed capital for the company. We used that to build the product and establish our initial partnerships and technology, and then build out from there.
So would you say, what about the ownership aspect of it through the
Mm.
token? How does ownership work with the collectibles if there is no token, if that makes sense?
They're two separate things. I think you look at Veve, you have their OMI token, and then you have the actual collectibles themselves, right? I think that they're two separate tokens. One's a fungible token, and one's an NFT, a non-fungible token. For us, we just focus on non-fungible tokens. Every Cryptoy is effectively an NFT that you have ownership over, and you'll be able to buy, sell, trade, and that kind of thing. So it's just the different kinds of tokens, for different purposes, really. So.
Andrew, uh, wasn't sure if you want to jump in with any questions on that.
Now, the only thing I'd want to add, and Chad is saying this right now, and this is, I think, the primary argument to have tokens is that it's not an ownership vehicle or just an ownership vehicle. There is additional utility that can come along with that token that can unlock experiences, that can do various things. But primarily unlocking experiences would be like the broader category of the additional utility there. So would you say, David, that would be the primary reason, in your opinion, to have something like a fungible token is to open up additional, let's say, Web3 experiences for users that have it? Obviously,
Yes.
governance is a part of that as well. But I think, the unlocking of experiences part is the part that most people talk about it being the most exciting. Governance is usually for the top 1% most hardcore users in your community that actually care.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you
Yeah.
think that's the
Well,
strongest argument for?
yeah, I mean, definitely is around the utility value out of that. And that was back in 2017 when we started the business. It was a way to get that crowdsourcing, bringing that utility. And then further down, as you build the business, like I have mentioned previously, is that if we were to do it again, the business operation or even the app could possibly be built different way. There's many layers, complexity to go into that, which I don't think today's forum I can explain it all. But like I have mentioned, if you were seeking advice on going into the business in the Web3, the one of the way back in the 2017-16 was crowdsourcing around token sales, and that's very around the jurisdictions that you want to pick for that fundraising. What we have built in Veve are very segregated businesses, very much focused in the digital collectible experience, and both of them needs their utility, right? Like what Will has built is that toy going into that metaverse, where Veve has built something that goes into AR, and the showroom and so on. And we want to bring more utility value to both sides of our business. We that simplifies is yes, in everything that you do in the Web3, it's all about that utility, and that's what people talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. But so I mean, but utility doesn't have to come through the tokens, correct? I mean, Will was
100%.
saying it can come from the NFT, it can come from the
Correct.
experience, it can come from that tangible product. Pudgy's not here, but having bridging the Web 2 and the Web 3 through those experiences, that can be the utility, correct? We can focus on that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's sort of what brings us to our second topics, and time flies here. Oh, wow, time really flies here. I just looked at the time. Well, before we get into the second topic here, because hold that thought about utility, I want to ask the chat here, and it's going so fast too, to start putting in some of your questions and make sure it's related to the conversation that we're having. And I also want to ask our moderators, Miss Gax, to start collecting those questions, and they're going to pick five, 6 questions from each community and send them to us directly, and we're going to address them toward the end of the show. And make sure you specify who the question is for. So if it's for Dave or David, or if it's for Will, just make sure you address that in your question. Also, if you want to see more shows and roundtables and like this with inspiring founders, make sure you hit that subscribe button and share the stream right now on with your YouTube and X community. I am going to set my timer again here for 20 minutes. Andrew, if you want to take away, picking up from that utility, which is it's a very important topic. I'm going to let you lead with that because I know it goes into our second topic as well.
Sounds good. So put me on the clock because I want to make sure we can get to the community questions. So the
Yes,
next
you're
part
on
here
the
is
clock.
about awesome. It's about intellectual property, and the two of you guys with your organizations have two different approaches to intellectual properties right now. Obviously, Veve is primarily a licensing play, and there are very successful IP licensing operations out there like Tops. You guys are familiar with them that have been successful for a long time, just licensing other people's intellectual properties, putting it on a piece of cardboard in the case of Tops, now selling it in terms of digital, and those can be healthy businesses. Then there are businesses on the other end of the spectrum, like Netflix, that used to license intellectual properties and now is primarily making their own original intellectual property. And then there's businesses right in the middle of that spectrum, like Wizards of the Coast, which licenses some intellectual property and makes their own and is a hybrid. So I want to start with you, Will. Is it sustainable to solely run a licensing type of business, like a licensing intellectual property business in the Web3 space? Or is it required to develop your own? Will, I'll let you take that first.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think the answer to that is no. I think there's been a lot of successful businesses that have just focused on licensing. So to say that a license-focused business can be successful, I don't think would be fair. But again, like we talked about, there's 100 different ways to build a successful company. And in the toy space, like again, we think of ourselves as a digital toy company. That's how we like to build the company. That's how we identify. And that's the vision we're building towards. And with that, we look at very successful toy companies. You mentioned one, like, let's take our partners at Mattel, that amazing partners. Mattel does a hybrid, Mattel licenses and, they do incredible Star Wars toys and all the other licensed licensed collectibles, but then they also have their own IP. Barbie, right? Masters of the Universe. These are Mattel owned and operated IP, Hot Wheels, etc. So we operate under a similar model. We license with incredible partners like Disney, Mattel, and a few others that we're excited to announce soon. But then also we have our own IP. As you can see right here, this is Alfie the Corgi, and we're starting to do some cool stuff around physicals and that kind of thing. So we have our own owned and operated IP. We have a storyline around this intellectual property that we can't wait to share more about. We already did an initial teaser trailer about the origin of these characters and where they come from and where they're going, and we are building the universe around them. I mean, in a sense, they're like our Mario and Luigi, right? Nintendo has Mario, Luigi, and they build the universe around all the licensed content and the things that they bring in, but the center of the universe is around these core characters. So if we're aiming to build a premier digital toy company, we believe the right approach is to have your own IP. We're very excited about our own IP, but that's not to say that you couldn't build a successful business by just focusing on licensing. There's been billion-dollar businesses out there that have focused on just licensing. But in the vision that we have, in the company that we want to build, we want to do incredible licensed product with some of the best brands in the world. But then we also want to have our own IP that we have full ownership of, that we can, push the limits of the technology and do a lot of cool things with. So for us, it's a little bit of both.
Okay, I got to ask you then. I know I'm a CEO as well. You've done your spreadsheets and you've done your projections for your business in terms of which collectibles are going to sell and which ones you think are going to have the bigger growth in the future. So for you guys, do you feel like licensed intellectual property is going to be the lion's share of your business in the future? Or is it these new original intellectual properties? Do you see yourself like becoming more like a Netflix, for example, that develops their own IPs and then that becomes like the majority of the business? Or do you see yourself trying to ride the line and staying a hybrid business forever? Where do you think, you're obviously looking into the future, you're looking into the trends of the future. So which direction do you think is going to be your boat that you want to ride on to success? Licensed or original?
David, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. So number one is that there are hundreds of projects and business in the Web3 space, and number one is to identify what your brand and what your value is. Veve is very simple. We're built by collectors for collector. We want to be the trusted brand when it comes to premium digital collectibles. When we first came out and talk about legacy brands licensing, Veve have done more than that. We become very significant, for example, bringing relevant and new audience to the global for stamp collecting. Stamp collecting used to be a very, very popular hobby. And you could say stamp collecting is a sunset hobby, but it's not, because Veve have bought, in partnership with USPS, New Zealand Post, reinvent that new audience and be more engaging. So for us is that the industry is so big and we just try to be the best we can in that one segment to start with. And that one segment lead to another in that process, like what Andrew, your question was that will we eventually become our licensing brand? Right now, our business focus has been about premium brands, and we leverage off these brands because they take mass market audience and they're selected brand that will have very important emotional value for our collectors because they are part of that whole journey for our fans. So we look at our business and what fits in our business. Not all brands and not all licensing works with Veve. We basically caters products that has a bit of nostalgia that you grew up with, and bringing that layer into a new medium. People out there, they collect spoons, they collect T-shirts, they collect marks. Veve basically just brings you another segment that you can collect now through digital means, and it's all on your mobile phone.
But
That makes
David,
sense. Go ahead. Go
sorry.
ahead, Mona.
No, I was just gonna say, but Vivi is riding very heavy on the legacy IP, and I have two parted question. If it's riding so heavily on the Disney legacy IP, where are all the Disney fans? Where are the Disney fans on the Vivi app? And secondly, what happens if Disney starts to cheat on Vivi and finds a new love? Then what happens to
Well,
uh,
yeah, Disney did that with their video inventory. Obviously, they had their video inventory on various television channels. Then they consolidated to the Disney Channel. They did it with various Web2 streaming platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime, and then they consolidated to Disney Plus. So do you guys see it as a risk for your businesses right now? I know you're both licensing Disney IPs right now, that they might make the same move with Web3 collectibles if this industry ends up becoming a major market for Disney. And do you guys see that as a risk with partners like that? Or do you feel like they're going to want to go with multiple vendors forever?
I mean, I think I speak
Yeah.
for David. We both love Disney. Disney's an incredible partner for both of us. And, you know, I know Disney's very excited about the future of digital collecting and where it goes, which is why, you know, they're making an investment in this space by partnering with companies like Veve, Cryptoys, Disney Pinnacle. There's at Dapper Labs, there's a lot of cool things happening. And I think the entire Disney team is very forward thinking in that regard. But, you know, with that being said, when it comes to all major IP, beyond just Disney, talk about all the major Hollywood studios or IP owners, you know, they have obviously a lot of incentive to try a lot of different types of products to attract different types of folks, right? I think fundamentally, if you get outside of the tech aspect of Cryptoys and Veve, you know, David and I are building different kinds of products. And I think Disney sees it as catering to two different types of people. And I think that's really healthy at the end of the day. And hopefully, David, you know, we'll bring in a lot of new users, and I'll bring in a lot of new users, and that will go, you know, they'll discover Cryptoys, then they'll discover Veve, and vice versa. And then, you know, maybe they'll come in through Disney Pinnacle and then discover Veve and then Cryptoys. It's really a rising tide lifts all boats. And I think it's an actual, you know, misconception in this space. All of the companies in the space root for each other. I think there's a conception that like we're all competing, and when we see a success of another company, we're like, oh, what they get that. Like, this space is so small, and a rising tide lifts all boats. We really need to see all these Web3 companies be very successful so that we can attract more people in a warm and welcoming way. So, you know, when Disney spreads out their IP or another IP owner spreads out their IP, we see that as a positive indicator that we'll be able to bring in more people to the space, and it's more attention for the space as a whole. So no, we see it as a good thing. At least I do.
And the reason I asked that question is because, David, I wanted to ask. I mean, we saw the Epic Games and Disney deal. So Disney, at the end of the day, is for Disney is about money and is about control. I live in the city of Disney, where Disney is, and they control everything here, right? So they care about money at the end of the day, and they won't hesitate to get up and go to the next Web3 platform. So my question to you is, why you? Why should they choose Veve? How do you keep them on your platform?
Why they choose Veve and how we keep them on our platform. Well, number one is we don't want our audience to think we are all Disney. Number one is Veve. On you know, there are hundreds of other brands and artists. We have a whole section dedicated to independent artists that brings out. We would at Oxia 3-4 weeks ago, and every single release around that was being very focused on talents and artists. The emerging artists, talents of the future of tomorrow when it comes to intellectual property. And the beauty around the Web3 is that any artist can enter into this barrier and be part of it. The success of the Disney with Veve has been leveraging off the early start, and that segment and that timing is only a very short span for us, and we need to grasp that and basically find our identity and find our fandom and grow that. There's other brands that we have put on. I mean, this whole past few days has been very focused on other brands, nostalgia brand like I think we have the RoboCop and Jump Pack. We have Marvel Comics in there. So it's not really just about one vertical and one brand or one company being overstated on Veve. And how we keep them, because we keep innovating. The company keep coming out with new ideas, and we will be announcing ideas through March, April, May, every single month. And we learn from some of the mistake that we made. We developing new products, new experience, new immersive wave for people and audience to be taking part of that. We talked about this in our very early on our journey when we started. You know, one day we will see people wearing wearable devices and able to see digital collectible throughout their homes. And Apple Provision have brought that technology to us, and you know that will be a sector that will be focusing how we can do that. We have our own metaverse coming, where your collectible is going to be living within that, and how you how you will be decorating that room and giving that experience throughout.
Which, by the way, means you would have to get people to care about AR to come in and do that. But here is my this is a Mona question. When I look at Vivi, there is so much potential and there's so much opportunity, but I still can't put
Hmm.
my finger on what Vivi's direction is. To be honest with you, is when you look in the future, is Vivi a marketplace for digital collectibles? Is it, Will is going more toward an interactive, playable features and experiences? When I look at Will's model, I see exactly the direction he's going. But when I look at Vivi,
Hmm.
I am a little puzzled. Can you bring some clarity as to what the direction is? Because at the end of the day, we can only focus as business owners. I'm a business owner. We got to focus
Hmm.
on one or maybe two things. So what is that one or maybe two things for you?
Yeah, so right now, Veve is the premium place for all digital collectible branded license product. That's number one. Number two, very simple, is that we are trying to understand what make try to build that one segment where our users like and love. And I talked about it in other segment and other podcasts about the byproduct and the next generation, where this is going to lead to us. And we are bringing that immersive experience through metaverse or through wearable device. The AR element and the video capturing element is really additional utility, and to be as close to that storytelling with you with that character, and that's what Phoebe brings you. And we are just the number one when it comes to premium digital collectibles.
Okay.
So the marketplace is obviously the current, like the premier marketplace you're saying, and then you're saying the future is, if these hardware technologies or these software technologies end up getting mass adoption, like AR, wearables to wear fashion, and these sorts of future technologies are more adopted, then you guys are positioned to take advantage of that if and when that happens in the
Yeah.
future. Is that fair to say?
Yes. I mean, so in the history of, and I keep using the word segment, we're good at something, and how do we move on from there and to expand? There's probably a dozen or 2 dozen company in the world that does that very well. And give you example like Amazon. When you first heard of Amazon, you think about their giant commerce. They then move to digital reading books. Now, their biggest part of their growth in business is the AWS. So the byproduct from what was Amazon has now become a commercialized, cloud-based solution provider. Vivi is going through that. We understand our core value of our customers, what they want. We're building segments around it to basically ensure that we bring those vertical into our ecosystem, and that ecosystem is about fandom. People will love to collect music. People love collecting art, trading cards, Cryptoys. People love prints. How we started was premium digital collectible. When people open up their app, they're able to see that collectible in 3D, all minted in front of you. Take a photo, upload it. Our mission as a startup in 2017 was very simple. If a picture that you upload to a social media can create people to talk to you, become a communication way, and bring that fandom together, that was our first step. Then we saw the community came together, and we felt that that community wanted more, that that emotional value beyond just living in the digital mean. We felt that there are new things that we could be building that would be meaningful, and that's what Vivi is doing now. We are segment, part of our business into new verticals, and taking that and into to tomorrow. And what you see Vivi today is probably not going to be the Vivi you see in 5 to 6 years time. And that's what we want to do. Like any business, you're going to own that segment for a couple years if you're very lucky and good at it. Unless you're going to be bigger and come up with better idea, you're going to get old. Just like stamp collecting, like I mentioned before, we're taking this audience of young stamp collectors into a digital format, which have never been thinking about it. If in 1995, if you say one day people are not going to be collecting physical stamp, they're going to be collecting digital stamps, you're probably going to be blown in your mind to go, well, I don't think that's going to happen. Well,
But
it has
David,
happened.
sorry, I want to
And
interrupt you here. Don't you think the physical product is very important here to lead people into the digital? I mean, we see Will here, and Pudgy Penguins is a great example of that. And that's, I go back to my original question of how are you going to get all the people to come into the AR to experience and interact with the digital product? Don't you think? And Will, maybe this is a question for you, don't we need that tangible product to bring people into that digital environment that you're describing and ultimately you're wanting?
I think there's lots of different ways to do it, but to credit to David, I know David is a massive physical collector. It's never been physical or digital
I
for
heard.
David. If you look at his background on many of his streams, he's got a very impressive physical collection. And David, I just want to give you your props and flowers for the amazing partnership you did with Funko to build an amazing physical that had a digital redemption to it. I thought that was tremendous, incredible for the entire space. I do think we need to kind of thread that needle a little bit. And I think, Veve's making some great inroads there with what they did with Funko, and then also what they did with the partnership with Marvel on the shoes. I thought that was awesome as well. And we have our own plans for physicals as well. And I think it'd be nice if we can, tie that flywheel so that folks that discover via the physical can discover through the physical and then enjoy the digital, and folks that discover through the digital can then get their physical products as well. I do think it's one of those and things. It's not an or thing. It's never been, I think for David and I, because I've listened to David speak before, it's never been a physical versus digital. It's been physical and digital, and ways that they can complement just the joy of collecting and fandom. So I think there's multiple approaches to it, and whichever you start with. But I think it's fair to say both Veve and Cryptoys are bullish on the tie-in between physical and digital for sure.
All right, I've got one more question I want to ask, and then we need to get to community questions, Mona, because we can't hold these guys up. They have to change the entire world here, and we can't
I
hold them up for
see
too
that.
long. So, Will, I've
Only
got to ask you.
questions.
You got Mattel. Both of you guys have successfully gotten Disney to work with you, which is an incredible feat. And I know I've worked with Disney before too. It's difficult to get a deal done because they do so much due diligence. They're so careful with what partners they work with. They pay so much attention to detail. I get all of that. And then Will, you talked about there's an investment from Mattel on your side. So I've got to know, what did you tell these non-Web3 people, these normies, these regular business people, to get them to trust you with this new scary crypto space, this new scary NFT space that maybe they've heard headlines about Sam Bankman-Fried or about rug pools or about hacking and all of these things they've heard? How did you get kind of the old world business to kind of buy in on the idea of moving into the future? How did you build that trust? What was the pitch, Will? I want to know from you guys, like with Mattel and Disney, for example, what do you tell these guys? I'm just very curious.
So I think a lot of you folks know all the credit for this company goes to my now 11-year-old daughter, Victoria. She's really the futurist. I'm just trying to execute her vision really at the end of the day. This all started off as a passion project between my daughter and I. We're building what the toy of the future would look like. As we know that play is going more and more digital, right? You see Roblox. A lot of people look at Roblox and they think that's a video game. That's really just digital play. It's like a digital after-school play date. People are meeting up in Roblox world. They're on FaceTime together. They're building digital forts together. And we just see, the consumer behavior is going more and more digital. We know for a fact that's where the world is heading. Kids are getting their iPads at a very young age. It's an incredible device that they're having access to. And, play and toys are becoming more digital, and just that's where kids are spending their time. So for Victoria and I, when we initially created this project, it was like, what does the toy of the future look like? How do we enable cool digital experiences through the lens of a toy? And what can we do through the lens of a toy with digital that all of a sudden was never before possible through physical, because there's like things that you can only do through digital, right? You don't have to deal with supply chain issues, you don't have to deal with plastic manufacturing and shipping and logistics, you don't have to deal with the concepts of gravity, right? You can do amazing unboxing experiences that have music and sound effects and haptic feedback and all these really cool things. So it really kind of started off as this passion project, and again, all credit to my daughter Victoria, and it was really just sharing that vision of what the future of play looks like with some of our partners. And I think they see that future as well. And that's how we've been able to partner with these incredible companies. And it's been a really fun ride so far.
Thank you, Will. And David, you were here thousands of years ago in 2017, which is basically like an entire lifetime ago in the space. What did you tell folks that were maybe, going to trust you on this journey as you're trying to build this organization, to trust this new space, to get them over the hump? Obviously you've licensed such a myriad of IPs. What are you telling folks to get them to trust
Yeah.
you, going from traditional to this new technology?
Thank you. So I come from very strong retail collectible background. I still own my own retail collectible stores. I sell a range of things from model, all these IPs. Basically, it's dream of mine having them in my shop. And the idea really came in with my co-founder Dan, and the original team is, what would it be like if we could digitalize it? We see a lot of our customers coming in the early, I think, 90s or early 2000s, where people were coming in my shop buying World of Warcraft time cards, and they've disappeared for 60 days because they're playing, and they come back into another. And then throughout the period, we saw Magic the Gathering went into digital. We started seeing a lot of these games all going into it. But what was one of the most fascinating time was at the Roblox and Fortnite. People, even my brother's sons, my nephews, they go home and they stream to watch other people play. So
Right.
you kind of knew that that barrier of getting from what traditional collectible was going to be, what was going to be meaningful for tomorrow's generation, that digital skins and digital upgrades is going to be coming. We first approach all the licensors, so it's not just Disney. In fact, some of the earlier one that we approach basically were selling the concept. Obviously, Veve was not. We were pre-revenue. Product was pre-launch. We wanted to get an idea what their uptake would be, and would they be thinking about moving into this. We're just very, very lucky that a lot of them are giving us the opportunity to deliver the stream. And pretty much it was really from the background of myself and Daniel. His background is very much into the tech, how you can combine that physical and that digital and make this app, alive. And pretty much we stuck at it every quarter, or meet up with the licensors again, update them where our development is, where the market is going, the trend. And we could clearly see that trend from games like Roblox and Fortnite really taking off, and Magic the Gathering, the digital, all these figures mechanic really stack up. Obviously, COVID came, and we probably picked one of the better timing in a way where people were at home, they were with their computer, the app, and the industry took off. And that was really the start of it. But like I have talked about, this is really just a very early stage of what you're seeing. And what we're creating possibly could be just a byproduct to something greater and bigger. Like you see Amazon, how they started and where they are now. We are looking for ways to be innovative, to bring that experience and plus much more and for our audience.
Thank you. Thank you, David, for that. I know we have a ton of questions. You guys are not seeing all the questions that are coming in. So let's jump right into it. Andrew, you have this list that I have as well, right? Look, Andrew's like, no, I don't have a list. Look in your DMs, in your XDMs, there should be a list. I think Poof might be, I'm going to ask our moderators to send. I don't know if this list is for both of us, but I'm going to go down this list. And if you guys want to send it to Andrew as well. All right. This question is from let's see, Superstar. What aspects about Cryptoys will be most important to help bring in the masses, and what aspect about Veve will be most important to help bring in the masses? If you want to, Will, take it
Sure.
away.
I mean, yeah, for us, we believe it's interactivity and things that you can do with these toys. The collectability is great, and we know a lot of folks are here to collect. Many folks know with Cryptoys, the way we set up our product is you unbox the product, and then you have the choice of keeping it in a blister pack in mint condition, or you could take it out of the packaging, because that kind of mirrors physical, right? A lot of folks that are collectors, they keep it in the packaging, but people that want to play with toys will take it right out of the packaging and play with their toys, right? And we feel that we need to give users really compelling things to do with their toys. We're a digital toy company, so play needs to be a huge piece of the puzzle. And we're very focused on interactivity. We're very focused on things you can do with these toys. You'll see that in some of our upcoming releases. We're very excited for what's going to be shipped this year. So we're excited to get that into our community's hands. And for us, that's where we think we'll see the most impact. Like we were talking about earlier, things like Fortnite and things like Roblox and Minecraft, this is the future of play. This is where people are spending their time. This is where entertainment is going. You can see the recent investment, like Disney just made a huge $1.5 billion investment in Epic Games, because again, interactivity in gaming is a huge place where people are spending their time. So for us, that's where we are focusing on, and we believe interactivity and play is how we can, bring people into the space and enjoy it. And then hopefully, if we could do that with the gaming interactivity segment, then they can discover, all these other amazing platforms that are out there in the digital collecting space too. So again, we think it's a rising tide that'll lift all communities here.
Great answer.
Beautiful, thank you.
Another question here. This one's from Pixel Trader. This one's for you, David. You talked about AR earlier, and obviously the question is thoughts on Apple Vision Pro and the space moving forward, not just with consumers, but the future of business and content. So a minute ago, you talked about how you saw all of these trends kind of culminating pre-2017 that told you needed to go in this direction with collectibles. Do you see Apple Vision Pro as being, maybe another unlock for the space? Do you see this having a big impact on your business? Does this indicate some sort of new trend or a confirmation of a trend? Go ahead, David.
Great question.
Yeah, I mean, we saw many trends, not just the wearable devices. Is the wearable device is really just going to unlock a new utility value out of it. I think there's a lot of technology innovation coming in, especially in the AR. How are we going to use AR in the Viviverse? How is it going to interact with the non-player characters inside our universe? So as we evolve, and Apple will be saying this is just really just the start of it, and there's a lot of technology things that they're working out. Software company are trying to figure out how that can combine. I mean, when the first iPhone came out, the first app or the first game got listed on, you download it, you play it. It was a very simple game. But now you see complexity, like Veve's on there with AR. I think it's going to unlock the future, and the potential is unlimited at this moment. And we definitely see a great value for the digital space anyway, at least, of how you experience, how you will work, how you'll socialize, and how you will interact. And when you put these devices on, personally, I have my device set up. I will send a couple pairs of the Apple Pro version, and there's pros and cons in that. Meta has tried come out with Oculus. There's positive things in their devices. I don't think I think we're still too early to criticize which one is best and for what purpose. I think the audience will be the judge of that, and how company like ours, how we will evolve and be part of that ecosystem and bring great value and unlock that utility.
That's interesting because I was reading about Epic and Disney partnership, and how Epic is actually not in good terms with Disney. And so the sentiment, the question was, if this partnership will open the door for Epic the app to be on the in the app store. So I think what you're addressing here could potentially bring users, be or lure users into Web3. And there's a question here from Rocket for both of you. What is the number one strategy for onboarding new users, customers, players? If Will, you want to take it away, and then David, this question is for both of you.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. You got to give folks compelling reasons to be in this space in the first place. I think a lot of folks, that we talk about Web3 and digital collecting and NFTs, a lot of folks don't understand the aspect of what a lot of the space is built on, which is kind of flipping at the moment, right? People buying, collecting, they're selling. That doesn't really attract a mainstream audience. As a matter of fact, and just like David, we go to a bunch of conferences, licensing shows, Comic Cons, etc. And when you talk to the quote unquote normies, right, the people that aren't in the space about, hey, jumping into digital collecting and NFTs, they automatically are not really excited by it because they think it's all about money. And when you lead with something that's all about money, it tends to get people's guards up and they think it's a scam because that's the first part of the conversation. But we really need to lead it with utility and fandom and fun and enjoyment. I mean, you look at Pokemon, right, and how they built that IP. I use this example a lot, right? When they created that IP in the 90s, a Charizard first edition Pokemon card wasn't worth, 6 figures like it is today, right? But through sheer building of the IP, through fun, whether it's through the Game Boy games or through the trading card games, that community became so in love with that IP that a first edition Charizard was then worth money. It was the utility, the fun, and the fandom that built the value. And in the NFT space, we're trying to do it backwards. We're trying to build the value first and then the utility later. And I think that is not something that's sustainable over time. I think we need to get back to basics when it's about building things from the ground up. Fun, fandom, utility, entertainment, enjoy it. If we do that, the value is a byproduct of us doing well on that front. So I'm really focused on making sure that we have those experiences for consumers and the mass market to come experience it, and then they can reap the other benefits of Web3 after the fact. But we got to make this a compelling, enjoyable experience outside of the capital aspects of Web3.
Fun, fandom, and utility.
Yeah, pretty much everything will say very critical. For Veve, we have experienced the trial beta on digital. We will focus a little bit more on how we can onboard from the physical collectors by enticing them with our digital program. Very important is that we want brands and we want product that have emotional value with our users and that fit in our ecosystem as well as our brand. So, we'll continue to try. We have participate in many live events and we hear what people want. We did that with comic book in the last New York Comic Con. We did a comic release with Marvel on Spider-Man Return. We also did Addiction comic that's a hybrid type. You have a physical and digital, and that worked very well. Will mentioned earlier we had that Marvel Funko. We had the Christian Louis Vuitton. We recently did a Matt Gondak one. The London Police artist did a digital where you buy a print, you get that digital layer on top of that as a redemption. All these signs and all these segments that we trialed out has really worked, and we will look forward to delivering more of these type of things and be in these physical events to onboard these users.
All right, I got another question. I want to cram as many in here, and we got to get these guys out of here soon. They have to go.
Yep. We promise not after 6:30, so we got 10 minutes. Let's go.
Okay, tops. Okay, here's another one. I'm sorry, I got to pick another one for Rocket because it's a great question. How have we not mentioned artificial intelligence? I mean, how can you do a conversation about tech without talking about AI right now, I guess? So this question is, and I will open it up to both of you because maybe you don't have an answer. So it's for whichever one of you wants to jump in. But the idea is, how important will AI be in each the Veveverse or the Cryptoys metaverse? Are you guys looking at AI? Are you planning on doing deep integrations? Do you have alpha you want to drop right now? Guys, just raise your hand and jump in.
Yeah, we as a company we use AI, and will in the future we'll be using AI in different parts of our business. Obviously, how we work as collectively as a company, how we can streamline things. And number two is you have nailed it. Is that the non-player character in the Viviverse eventually when that in phase 2 or 3, what will these characters be like? Will they able to machine learn what you like to collect and have a proper conversation with you? Because one of the major thing around the metaverse that hasn't really worked well for anyone is that you need a lot of audience, you need a lot of active players in there and be part of that. So what happened when you're in a London time, I'm in New Zealand time, we're in 12 hours difference. When you come in, you don't see me. Well, the whole idea is that there will be other characters in there with machine learning will help you and be more engaging. So we use AI will be one as a user interface side, the other part is within the company.
Thank you for that. I'm going to just jump right in as well. Will, with
Yeah.
the strong year coming up due to the halving, is there any plans to capitalize on this momentum to bring in new collectors? For David and Will, actually.
With the halving. Well, I think with the halving in general, I mean, I guess that could correlate to, more bullishness for the Web3 scene in general. And maybe that brings folks, I don't know necessarily how it directly can correlate to our businesses, but the more excitement we feel for blockchain and Web3 from consumers, I think the more exposure, the better for companies like Veve and Cryptoys. But I did want to jump into the AI question real quick. I'm really
AI
Yeah,
alpha
there's an
alert.
alpha.
Everybody get ready.
Alpha
Clip
coming.
this. Go, Will.
a lot of
Go.
folks know this, but because I mentioned, I think before in interviews, but one of the first hires we made at Cryptoys after we raised some venture capital was NLP and AI engineers to build AI technology into Cryptoys. We did a press release a little bit ago for a feature that we call Chat Guardian, which is a really robust chat filter for Chat GPT that we have plans in the future to integrate into our digital collectibles. I mean, if you go back to when we were kids, what did we do when we were playing with our toys? We would pretend like they would talk and they would talk back to us and we would role play with them and do all these different things. Well, in the digital world, you don't have those barriers. They can talk back to you, right, in the digital space. So AI as part of the future of digital toys, I think is extremely exciting. We're very bullish. We made an investment there. We hope that we can, chat more about that soon. No pun intended. But we're very bullish on AI and what we can do there. And yeah, whether it's the ChatGPT related stuff and interacting, or even generative AI and what that means for companies like Veve and Cryptoys and cool things that we can build through generative AI. Really important tech that no doubt will be integrated into the business.
Yeah, absolutely. And David, do you want to go back to the question of uh, it's bull run having is coming right up? Are you guys capitalizing on this momentum in any way to bring in new collectors?
You mean in the market general overall? I mean, for us at Veve, every single week is a bull run for us. We look forward to what's coming out. We are very consistent with our releases. Um, I mean, we don't stop because it was winter or summer. I mean, our audience, as I say, it's the mass market, the fandom market out there.
I have,
Every day
yeah,
is
go
a
ahead.
bull run. I love that. Every week is a bull run. Like this should be like on the wall of like the company building when everybody walks in. That's cool. I like that you guys are kind of brushing off, let's say, macro conditions, and it doesn't seem to be a huge factor in your decision making. So that's smart because nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. So that's a smart move. Go ahead, Mona.
Because it's about fandom. Did we not hear Will? It's all about fandom experience. Will, I want to ask you this. This was actually a special question someone had asked me, which I want to know as well. I don't know if you're allowed to say anything, but about your marketplace, is this going to be is this going to be an in-game currency deal, or are we going to have USDC here? How are you? Can you talk about that at all?
It's a great question. There's going to be a lot of more details about the marketplace. We have actually a two-pronged approach to marketplace. That one will have a virtual currency, and then we all are going to offer support for USDC and things like that. So there'll be much more to come, but we plan on making sure that everyone's happy on the marketplace front. We've heard all the feedback, and trust us, we want to do a really good job for everyone. So a very unique approach to marketing that I think will allow us to satisfy us, the native Web3 folks in the space. We'll get very excited about that, but then also allow us to welcome in a bunch of new users of all ages in some fun ways. So yeah, stay tuned. We got some exciting things in the works.
Andrew, well, you said younger and new ages. There's a question here, very related. Are there plans to allow younger users to enjoy these collectibles and experiences? Are there concerns with safety? Is a great question on the apps and platforms, both of you.
Yeah, I could jump in real quick. This business, again, and this company was built to make sure we cater to all ages. Again, this company was literally started by my 11-year-old daughter, Victoria. So we got to make sure that consumers of her age and even younger can enjoy, the product and have fun with it. A lot of folks, don't know this, but we have built a platform called Guardian Controls, a feature for the Cryptoys platform called Guardian Controls that will allow users of all ages to onboard. So it doesn't matter if they're, 30 years old or they're 7 years old. They'll be able to sign up for a Cryptoys account in a compliant way and be able to, just have fun on the platform. So for us, we made a massive investment to build out Guardian Controls. We actually got really excited for it because it got so robust. Like we spent so much time and energy to build out this whole flow of how it works. If a younger aged person were to, get on the platform, how it would work and how the Guardian would sign off on it and who has custody of the assets. It was so robust that a few folks said, you should try to submit this as a patent. You should get a patent on this. So we submitted to the US Patent Office and it got approved as patent pending, which we're really excited about this Guardian Control feature. And hopefully we can, share it with other folks as well. But that's why it took us some time on the marketplace front, because we had to build all this infrastructure around it to go after building a digital toy company. I couldn't build a toy company and not be able to satisfy the person that started the company, which is my 11-year-old daughter.
Absolutely.
So David, will you commit right now to be the first customer to license that patent for Guardian platform?
We right now, Veve is you have to do through KYC MML purpose. We will be releasing features coming out, which will make onboarding a lot easier for the mass market user. And you stay tuned in; that will be announced.
Thank you for that. I had a question and then I lost it, but it was along the lines of, David, this one is for you. With these major legacy IPs that you're working with, how is it that the user base is not where it should be, your daily user base?
I think one of the key aspects is when you download the app, you have to go through the whole KYC for the AML purpose. Turns a lot of people off. You can imagine if you download a chess game to play, and then it goes, well, could I have your driver's license, your passport, one of your utility bills? A lot of people do fall off that. So that plays part of it, and that is a major roadblock which we're working around.
Thank you for that. Andrew, anything else?
All I want to say is thank you so much for joining us, guys. I know we asked some challenging questions, we asked some inspiring questions, and you guys took on every question and answered it to the best of your ability. Thank you. Really appreciate that. And thank you to the audience for submitting such insightful questions as well. I would love to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. This was very inspiring, very insightful. And as you guys are talking, I see a future where you guys can come together. I don't know if this is possible, but is there ever a future where you can form an alliance and you guys come together and build these standards together? We always say it's better, Web3 is better with friends, and you're supposed to build this together. So I hope that there's a future where you all can work together, because at the end of the day, there's the same mission here, right? I don't know if you guys see that, but that's kind of what I see.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of Veve. I'm a big fan of David and the entire team. I think what they're building is incredible. Like we talked about earlier, rising tide lifts all boats. We got to work together. We're all actively rooting for each other and all the communities that we can make this a really successful thing. And yeah, I'd absolutely love to collaborate with the Veve team in the future. I just think very highly of that whole squad. So 100%.
Any last words, David?
Likewise. No, likewise. We still early. When the rising tide comes in, everyone's going to benefit from it. There will never be one toy manufacturer or one comic publisher in the world. So we live in this ecosystem that we're just going to grow together and make this industry and this medium stronger.
Yeah. David, can I ask you to say
Thank you.
something directly to your community? Because I think your community, as you know, I read all the posts every day, and I think your community really, they want to hear from you. So can we end with something compelling from you to your community?
Sorry, Mona, I lost you there.
No problem. Can you hear me?
Yes, just now.
I was asking, I said, as we start to close, can I ask you to speak directly to your community? I read a lot of messages on a daily basis on X, and I think your community really wants to hear from you. Can I ask you to speak directly to them and with something very compelling that's truly in your heart that you want them to know as we close here?
Yeah. We have an amazing community, and same as a lot of Web3. As the co-founder of the company, I couldn't thank you guys more for all your support throughout this whole time. No matter if it's a bear market, bull market, you guys always stick around with us. We are here to deliver, and please look out for more information. We do have a lot of announcements coming out, so stay tuned. And thank you for staying with us.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Andrew. And a huge thanks to everyone in the community who tuned in tonight, along with our chat moderators, Miss Gex, Miss Poof. I saw Miss Teen Crypto riling up everyone in the chats. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for your love and support. Andrew and I look forward to hosting another Web3 roundtable for you very soon. Maybe it'll be a metaverse theme that you never know. But until then, good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.